Justice Gorsuch?
I just wanted to make sure I understood your position with respect to some of the gnarly language in this statute, which is waive or modify affected individuals to ensure they're not placed in a worse position financially because of the COVID crisis. You'd agree that doesn't authorize the Secretary to place persons in a better position than they were because of the COVID crisis?
So I agree that the purpose is to ensure that they're not worse off, but I would disagree insofar as it's clear that he can provide class-wide relief. So if it turns out at the end of the day that some individuals are getting relief who it turns out wouldn't have needed it, Congress tolerated that and in fact encouraged the Secretary to err on the side of over-inclusion.
So you read this statute as not just authorizing the Secretary to place people in the same position that they were prior to an emergency, but to allow the Secretary to place persons in a better position than they were prior to the emergency?
No, I'm sorry. Let me try to clarify. His purpose has to be to ensure that they're not left worse off.
But his effect can be.
If the effect is that some individuals in the class receive relief who wouldn't otherwise need it, that doesn't mean that his plan is invalid. But if I could respond to your question about better off, worse off.
Let me just, I'm sorry, let me pose a different question. So some persons can be better off, is your position. I guess how many is my next question, right? Let's say two people in Missouri, okay. All right, they're better off, fine. But what if it's 90% of the class, just hypothetically? Could the Secretary do that under this statute?
So I think the right way to analyze that would be under arbitrary and capricious review, because as I've just explained, we think the statute tolerates some overbreadth. And so at that point, you would want to look at the Secretary's justification for his action. It sounds to me like that could be unreasonable, that maybe he wouldn't be able to justify that particular line drawing choice because it would be so extensive relief that isn't actually necessary. But one of the things you'd want to look at is whether there was a way to tailor it, whether there was a way to segregate the people who actually needed the relief or not.
I understand that.
And just in case you think this plan does that, Justice Gorsuch,
no,
it does not.
I'm asking a hypothetical, and I understand your point. You direct us to arbitrary and capricious review. With respect to the fairness question that the Chief Justice posed, would you direct us as well to maybe State Farm, for example, where the Secretary has to weigh not just the benefits to the persons he's acting to favor, but also the cost to others?
I think that is a more natural way to analyze those issues. I should emphasize, because we're in this case, that these individual borrowers didn't raise a State Farm argument, so they're not making these fairness allegations.
I hear you, but you'd agree that that would be a relevant consideration at some stage in a court's analysis of the Secretary's action.
I don't think that the Secretary could be faulted for not considering the interests of non-student loan borrowers, because I don't think that's one of the relevant interests that Congress expected him to take into account under this authority. As we've been discussing laws all the time.
It's just irrelevant.
Yes, I think that his charge under the HEROES Act is to determine whether student loan borrowers need this relief.
I appreciate it. Thank you. That's clarifying. Thank you.